Welcome to another Founder Wisdom Pod with Albert Assad with us today. He is founder and managing partner at Atlantic Consulting Solutions. So we're going to have some fun talking about a bunch of things, including business model, strategy, structure, and yeah, basically organizational development, strategy planning, coaching, everything in between. Albert has a nice background in finance, consulting, real estate investment. So we may talk about all of these. It's going to be exciting. This pod is brought to you by podper.com. That's my podcasting company. If you want to start scale, be invited to podcasts like this one. If you want to grow podcasting into a behemoth that it can be an ever green ATM, money printing ATM, that is, because podcasting, you learn from people, you have fun, you have conversations, you grow your network. You also grow your networks because people are going to ask you what you do. Invitees, guests, or people that listen to the pod can even have sponsors. So it's huge money-making machine that a bunch of folks are not taking advantage of right now. And folks that do start a podcast, they just get discouraged because there's not any money. It's fun, but there's no money as a backend. So I help you monetize this whole scheme. You can go to podbuyer.com for this. Albert, welcome to the pod. Tell me a bit more about yourself and tell me a bit more about Atlantic Consulting Solutions.
Thank you, Charles. Yes, so happy to be here on this podcast to share a little bit about ourselves. I am originally from Los Angeles, but I've lived in 6 countries. I've been able to speak, and learn and speak 4 languages. And it's been a great experience because I've been immersed in completely different cultures, primarily Europe, Latin America, and North America. And it's been a wonderful ride. In my career, I've had the experience to be able to study different master's degrees and in different universities also around the world, in Europe, Latin America, and here in the US. And so my educational and academic experience goes from philosophy to corporate social responsibility, to finance, and education, right? So it's just kind of all over the place, but there's a reason, right? There's a reason for all of this. I actually started my career in the nonprofit world when I was living out in Europe. I had this desire to help, and so I did a lot of pro bono work and volunteered several years of my life. And so I wanted to get into that world, and hence, the philosophy, hence the social responsibility. And then, I enjoyed doing that. I really loved it. But then I realized, I also want to do other things with my life, and I want to make a good living. So I decided that I needed to move into the for-profit world. And I really enjoyed finances. Even when I was younger, I always was the administrator, running, the finances of smaller institutions, and I always loved that leadership role, and so that led me to become the international director of a sports company, the national director of a couple of nonprofits, and then from there moving into starting my own firms in HR and in fintech. Selling those, some of those also failed, and then moving into the consulting world. And I truly, truly enjoyed it because I believed consulting for me was a blend of helping and making a good living and, fulfilling my professional careers and aspirations. And so I started doing that, in a firm based out of DC from former Booz Allen, primarily consultants. And we worked with Fortune 2000 companies and some nonprofits as well. And then I moved into, and we focused more on the financial side there. And then I moved into management consulting because I felt that was a more holistic approach to helping a business. And on the finance side, we were just very limited to, the finances. And then, we would work for months and months on a project. And then in the end, they might not even do it because someone else decided in management to change. And so that's why I moved into the management side of consulting. And then that eventually led me to start my own business, and hence that's where I'm at now. And I have other ventures as well, as you mentioned, in real estate. Also have another company with some partners called Nation, in the nation building world. And it's just a variety of different things. I really like doing a lot of different types of projects and challenges and really enjoy it.
So what is it that you do in less than 30 seconds in somewhat extreme details? And if you could provide a case study illustrating that.
Yeah, so really what we do is I focus on working with small privately held businesses that are in growth mode in three main areas: strategy, management, and finance. And so everything that we offer is tailored to helping small business owners to grow their business. Our goal is to get them on the Inc. 5000 list as an indicator, because those are the fastest privately held companies that grow in the U.S. And our goal is to provide them with to complement them with the knowledge that they need to be successful. A lot of these business owners are very, very good at what they do. They know their product very well. They might even know the service very well, but they might not necessarily have all the experience they need to run a business, to manage people. And then their businesses are going from, 3 million to 10 million to 50 million, 100 million, and they don't really know exactly what to do. And that's where we come in to complement them and help them to be more successful.
Right. So what are your price points here? Let's say that I hired you. What would you do for me precisely, and at what price point?
So, it obviously would depend on the nature of your problem, right? Some of these businesses, for example, as a case study, right? You're starting off. You have, let's just say, a roofing business, and you're very good at maybe selling, but you don't know how to structure a business. You don't know how to provide compensation. You don't know who you necessarily need on the finance side, because you never really studied finance. And so you don't know what that consists of. And people can take advantage of you. You don't know price points. You don't know process. And so a company like ours would come in to help you and to create that infrastructure you need to scale, right? And so we've been able to help companies go from 3 million to 25 million in 3 years. Right, we've been able to help these companies be profitable and to sustain. Sometimes there's partnerships that they get tense after a while, and so we've been able to help save several of those partnerships, which has allowed those companies to continue to grow, because partners usually complement each other, and therefore sometimes there may be some complexity in the relationship. We help with that, right? That's one case study. We have another case study where there was a business that was already doing extremely well, and their biggest competitor was trying to push them out, and they came to us and asked us, "Hey, can you help us to compete against them?" And so we came in and we helped again structure the business in a way that would allow them to continue that growth. And even though their prices were much higher than this multi-billion-dollar company, which was their biggest competitor, we were able to maintain a large market share here in Atlanta to such a degree that after about 5 years of competing, that large company came and decided to buy them out. And so we negotiated, and we were able to get them a really, really good price from the initial offer in the middle of COVID, because the success was so strong. This company wanted to continue to grow, and that's where that led them. So those are just some examples.
What did they pay precisely?
Oh, well, in this case, it was a company that was generating, it was about, in annual revenues, about 16 million. And then we ended up getting them a 7 multiple on that, on their EBITDA, which, the owner then was able to step away. We actually started a different business after a couple of years as well that helped him to continue to stay relevant, because for a lot of these business owners, it's important to have legacy, right? And it's not just about selling. Some of them it is, but for a lot of them it's not. They want to do something that goes beyond just the money.
Right. So let's call it, for that deal, you charge over 30K, 60K to help them reach that level of growth.
It'll depend, right? Yes, on some of them, we'll charge a monthly retainer. It can go anywhere, depending on the format that we follow. It can go anywhere between $3,000-4,000 on the lower end, up to $11,000 or $15,000 monthly. Again, depending on the size of the business, depending on our involvement, depending on the scope of work that has to be accomplished. And then, yes, in this case, if it's a sale, then obviously it's a percentage of the total sale value, depending on our level of involvement as well.
Right. And do you specialize into industries or verticals that you like more than others?
So we definitely have concentrations in industries, right? Here we're based out of Atlanta, Georgia, so we definitely have some concentration. Lately, it's been a lot in construction. We've also had some, technology, marketing companies, and yeah, I mean, those are kind of the strongholds. We've actually worked with 38 industries since we started the business, which was it's been a little over 8 years ago now, and we are industry agnostic. We don't sell ourselves as industry experts. More than anything else, as I mentioned earlier, we partner with the business owner to complement them in what they do. So obviously that means that they need to know what they're doing with their product, right? I'm not going to come and teach somebody, right, how to pour cement, how to do law. That's not what we do. What we are experts in is management. We will help you to know how to understand and utilize your financials to make better decisions. We'll help you to motivate and keep your team focused so that you can have a good company culture. We'll help you understand how to lay out a plan so you follow it and be consistent with it to achieve the success and the goals that you want to achieve. So again, we come in, it's a true management consulting approach, right? It's somewhat broad, but it's all tailored to helping specifically privately held businesses, right? Small business owners, not specialized. That's more for larger corporations, right? They need more specific, and we've done that in the past, but this is the niche that we've decided to focus our efforts on. We've been very successful. We've grown a lot. There's a massive need. I mean, there's over 6.6 million entrepreneurs that start a business every year, right? On average. And so, I mean, there are plenty of small businesses out there. We don't work with startups, but definitely with businesses that have already been around for minimum 2 years. They're generating on the lower end about 4 million, and companies that have at least 4 or 5 employees, and companies that already have a track record of growth and that truly want to grow. Some companies don't want to grow, and that's all right. If they want to stay at that level that they're at, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, right? But there is a difference between what I call a lifestyle business and a real business, right? Lifestyle business is just you eat what you kill, you work as hard as you want, and that's it. And that's okay. A lot of people, some might call it, a job. You created a job for yourself. That's fine. You want to make your living. Different people have different perspectives, different views, and we adapt ourselves to help them to that, right? We don't force anybody to go in a specific direction, but we are focused on growth, right? That is our main objective.
And tell me about some businesses that you've worked with during COVID. What challenges do they face, and how did you help them jump that huge wall that was COVID?
Yeah, COVID was definitely very interesting. Usually whenever there's some sort of crisis or economic downturn or whatever you want to call it, the first thing to go is a consultant, right? So I got to admit, I was a little concerned. I was like, oh boy, let's see what's going to happen here. We're going to end up getting kicked out or fired or whatever, or put on hold, or luckily none of that happened to us. Every client actually mentioned to us, without even bringing it up, that they needed us more now than ever. And I think that people have come to a realization that, especially during that time, that they needed to pivot. They needed to understand how to change their business model. And they don't know how to do that. And obviously it can be relatively complex. And so the efforts during that time is we tried helping most of our clients, and and I'll specify why I say most in a bit. But we help most of our clients to incorporate a significant portion of their process into technology, so that they could still continue to operate, so that they could still continue to serve their clients, and that way still continue to exist, right? To generate revenue. And I kept telling my clients, this is not. I don't want this to turn into let's work hard so we can just survive. We want to thrive even during this time. And I remember some years ago, I read an article from the Harvard Business Review that indicated that in about 25 years, if a business had not incorporated technology into their business model, they would cease to exist. Well, I think that COVID accelerated that by at least 10 or more years. And so people became aware of that, and they're like, yes, we need help with that. And that's where we came in to help them, right? Incorporating technology, because again, you're working with small businesses, right? A lot of these are not overly sophisticated. Sometimes I would have conversations with them about the importance of, utilizing more sophisticated project management tools, utilizing artificial intelligence. And, they're like, yeah, we'll get to it one day. It's not a priority right now. Well, with COVID, it definitely became, a priority. If not number one, it's definitely within the top 5 during that time. And so we spent a lot of time, doing that and helping our clients understand, hey, you need to have an app, for example. Well, what am I going to do an app? How do I? Well, younger generations, that's exactly what they want. And not only that, but even older generations during COVID needed it, right? So that's one example where we focus on helping them develop apps. Now, we're not the technology company, obviously. So we would engage with a technology company to bring them to the table, but we would help them strategize behind the design, what is required in order for them to continue to stay in touch with their client base and to be able to charge them for a service that's valuable that they needed. So that's one example, right? Focusing on that. Some of my clients also, immediately you think crisis, what am I going to do? I got to fire people. I got to trim down the fat, right? And I would tell my clients, whoa, let's take it easy. Like, I understand. Why don't we first lay out some milestones before we actually start jumping on some of these decisions that are not based on anything, it's just fear. And I said, let's not be managed by fear. So we've come up with those milestones. And then I would ask them, okay, how are your sales going? Oh, my sales have gone up. Okay, well, good thing we didn't fire all those people you wanted to fire, right? And so, on the contrary, they actually ended up hiring more people during that time. So it's also helping these business owners understand how to utilize the data and not to be pushed by fear. And I think a lot of times business owners, especially in the small business world realm, are led by their emotions. And a lot of times they make decisions with their gut. And I'm not saying that that's not valuable, because it definitely is, but it has to be complemented by data, right? And that's why it's important for, especially within the small business world, for business owners to have a trusted advisor that they can talk to and have a sounding board to discuss different ideas and help them make better decisions for their business.
Right. What are your top 3 goals for 2024?
Oh, we have definitely great ambitions. I know that, some people will argue we are already in a recession. Other people say there will be no recession. I was actually with Morgan Stanley last week, and I asked that question, and I was given a definitive answer that there will be no recession. So, it's a broad spectrum. In our case, we're definitely, regardless of what happens, we want to focus on growth. We have to eat our own cooking, as they say. We've actually just hired some new consultants as well. We're training them now with the views of next year, still continuing to grow. I believe that even during a recession time, even though it might be harder to sell and all that, but that's when companies need most help, right? Because that's when they potentially can fail. And I think it's important for these companies to do something about it before it's too late. I've been involved in some cases where they'll say, hey, I need some help. And then you look at the business, you're like, there's no time. You've run out of runway. There's nothing that can be done. It's a little too late now. And so we want to be out there with that. So our goal is definitely to continue to grow. We actually have expanded now. We have We have work that we're doing in 4 different continents, and so we want to continue that growth. For now, we want to continue to grow our consultant base as well by 50%. I know that for us, we're a boutique, so it's still very doable during that time. And we also want to continue to create internally the structures and the process to continue to refine it, so that what we're doing is not a cookie cutter, but it is much more effective and efficient for our clients to help them achieve their goals in a shorter amount of time. So we have 2 external goals and 1 internal goal for next year.
And where can people find out more about you, Albert?
Well, we have our website, right? We have Atlantic DCS.com or Atlantic Consulting Solutions.com online. We also have social media presence on all platforms that we are happy to have more followers, and we're all constantly providing feedback, we're providing tips, we're providing news, we're updates that are all interesting and important for small business owners to know. So feel free to connect with us there.
That was another CEOWisdompodcast.com with Albert, Assad, and Charles Cormier as your host.